At 2:10 p.m. on December 5, 1945, 5 Navy bombers vanished over the Atlantic, and the radio tower heard every second of it. The last transmission from Flight 19 lead pilot Lieutenant Charles Taylor came through crackling and strained. "We are on the line north and south," he reported, his voice steady but confused. He was looking at his instruments, he was looking at the ocean, and nothing matched where he thought he was. Within the hour, all 5 TBM Avenger bombers, carrying 14 men total, simply ceased to exist on any frequency. No wreckage, no bodies, just silence. But let me back up. This wasn't some supernatural vanishing. This was a perfectly ordinary training mission that became the most famous aviation mystery of the 20th century. And here's the thing most people get wrong: we actually know what happened. The mystery isn't the disappearance. The mystery is how badly the story got twisted. December 5, 1945, Naval Air Station, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 14 men filed into the briefing room for what was called Flight 19, a routine bombing practice run. They'd fly east over the Bahamas, drop dummy bombs on a target called Bimini, then fly back 2 hours, maybe 2.5. Charles Taylor was the flight leader. He had over 500 flight hours logged. He wasn't a rookie. They launched at 2:10 p.m., 5 Avengers in formation heading northeast over the Atlantic. The weather was decent, visibility was good, nothing unusual. For about an hour, radio contact was normal. Then at roughly 3:45 p.m., Taylor radioed the tower. Something was wrong with his compass. Both of them, actually. He couldn't figure out where he was. Now here's the detail people miss. Look at this transcript right here, the actual radio log. Taylor said, "I don't know where we are." He wasn't panicking, he was methodical. He told the tower he was going to fly north, find land, and navigate back visually. That's textbook procedure. That's what you do when your instruments fail. But here's where it gets complicated. The tower operator, a man named Robert Cox, was confused too. He kept asking Flight 19 to switch frequencies to use standard emergency procedures. Taylor kept reporting that he was over the Keys, then over the Bahamas, then over land he couldn't identify. His position reports didn't make sense. They contradicted each other. The most likely explanation, based on everything in the record, is that Taylor became disoriented. His compasses were malfunctioning. That part is documented. But instead of flying north to find the Florida coast, he may have flown northwest, deeper over open water. The sun was setting, visibility dropped, fuel was burning. Around 4:45 p.m., Taylor made a decision. He told his flight to follow him to the nearest land. He didn't know where that was. One of his wingmen, a pilot named George Stivers, radioed the tower separately and said something remarkable. He said Taylor was definitely lost. He said they should head west, back toward Florida. Taylor overruled him. The flight stayed with their leader. The last clear transmission came at 5:50 p.m. Taylor's voice was calm but tired. "We must be on you, but we can't see you. We have no hope unless direction is west." He was asking for a heading. He knew something was catastrophically wrong, but by then the 5 Avengers were somewhere over the Atlantic, running on fumes in darkness with no way to navigate home. No distress call, no explosion heard on radio, just silence. By 6:00 p.m. they were gone. A rescue plane was dispatched, a PBM Mariner, and within hours it also disappeared. That loss haunted the Navy for decades, but the 5 Avengers, they almost certainly ditched in the ocean at night in rough seas with no chance of survival. Here's what makes this story fascinating though. The Navy's official investigation concluded almost exactly that. Pilot error, navigation failure, disorientation. They didn't call it mysterious, they called it a training accident, but by the 1960s, writers had already reframed it. They added elements: supernatural zones, magnetic anomalies, vanishing ships. The Bermuda Triangle mythology was born not from Flight 19 itself, but from how people chose to tell its story afterward. The facts were mundane: compass failure, disorientation, fuel exhaustion, darkness, ocean. So the story got rewritten into something more compelling, something with mystery. But the real story, the one in the documents, in the radio logs, in the Navy's own files, is actually more interesting. It's about a skilled pilot facing instrument failure and making human choices under pressure. It's about how quickly confidence turns to confusion when your tools lie to you. It's about 5 men who flew into darkness. The real mystery isn't what happened to Flight 19. The real mystery is why we preferred the ghost story to the truth. Why a straightforward tragedy needed to become something supernatural to hold our attention. Because the answer, honestly, tells us more about ourselves than it tells us about the ocean. So the next time you hear about the Bermuda Triangle and Flight 19, remember this: the men who disappeared didn't vanish into a supernatural void. They were lost, they were brave, and they were victims of a perfect storm of mechanical failure and human limitation. Their story doesn't need embellishment, it's already tragic enough. Subscribe. Each week we separate myth from the actual record on aviation's most famous unsolved cases.